Basketball fans, we appreciate all 1.3 million of you that tuned in to watch our live draft coverage of the 2020 NBA Draft. And we got a lot of new subscribers from that, so I want to make sure you guys have turned on your notifications. It's a very easy thing to do here on the channel. Hit that little bell. It looks like the bell right there, so it lets you know every time we put out a brand new video. And with the off season coming up, it's basically already here. We're putting out videos every 3 hours, going live multiple times a week. So subscribe, but also hit that notification bell. The Golden State Warriors have officially begun their offseason. It started with the NBA Draft, making some moves and taking James Wiseman with the second overall pick, but now they have found their Klay Thompson replacement. Kelly Oubre Jr. is set to become a member of the Golden State Warriors, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Now, the trade details at the time in which we're filming are a bit unclear, but it is clear that the Warriors are just going to absorb Oubre into their trade exception. Oubre is making about $14 million next year, and the Warriors' trade exception is worth $17 million. Now, the one thing I do want to mention as well is that the luxury tax is getting pretty hefty for the Golden State Warriors, as they will be paying $80 million in luxury tax as they bring on Kelly Oubre. But you're bringing on a guy that knows how to score the basketball. He's a super great athlete. His defense is up and down because that motor can be questionable at that side of the ball at times, but you look at the past 4 years, and he has steadily and slowly but surely improved as a player and as a scorer. You know, he goes from a pretty bad Washington team to a Phoenix team that was lottery bound, and then all of a sudden pushed for the 8th seed just this past year. Nearly got it, but he didn't play in the NBA bubble. Scored 19 points per game. Now, the fit here is a little bit redundant with Andrew Wiggins. They are kind of similar players, in fact, very similar players out on the wing. But the good thing is, with Andrew Wiggins, you can slide him to that two-guard position, and he can fit there and kind of take the place of Klay Thompson. And I think at this point, you know, assuming this trade gets finalized, you have to start Oubre. You put Steph in the backcourt, you hope and you pray that he makes everybody around him better, including Andrew Wiggins, including Kelly Oubre Jr. Draymond will be in there. You're hoping you're getting a motivated Draymond now that you got a Warriors team that's playing for something. And, of course, your new big man, who I really think should start right off the bat at this point, because why not, is James Wiseman in the middle. But the Warriors, we'll see what they're actually giving up. Go out and get Kelly Oubre, a guy that is a high-quality starter in the NBA and a high-quality offensive weapon out on the wings. So go ahead and grade the addition of Kelly Oubre Jr. for me. A, B, C, D, or F. F being, wow, this is the last guy I wanted. I didn't want him anywhere near Golden State. Or an A being, this is the perfect fit. This is exactly who we needed. Kind of depends on who they gave up, and we'll have to see what that is. But as of right now, I'm loving this pickup for the Golden State Warriors. Now, this all comes, of course, in the wake of the Klay Thompson injury. It is being reported that it is what we all feared, a torn Achilles, which is set to, make him miss the rest of, or really all of, next season after already missing the 2019-2020 season with a torn ACL. You absolutely hate to see it, especially a guy that would have come in, and I picked this Warriors team as my title favorites, assuming they were healthy, with Steph Curry and Klay, a motivated Draymond, potentially a Wiggins as a fourth option, and at the time, whoever they would have drafted at 2, which we now know is James Wiseman. But without Klay Thompson, who is kind of the heart and soul of this team besides Steph Curry, you're losing a big piece, a guy that plays off the ball better than anyone I've ever watched in the NBA, a guy that can defend multiple positions in the NBA, and a guy that, again, doesn't need the ball in his hands to succeed as one of the most elite shooters in the league. But they found their replacement in Kelly Oubre. They've at least made some improvements to the roster, so you're hoping for the best. And good news here, that the silver lining is that he is expected to make a full recovery from the torn Achilles injury, which is always a pretty devastating injury for NBA players. But let's turn our heads to something a little bit brighter, and that's this Warriors channel. If you want to keep up with all things Warriors and know what's going on all off-season long, whether it be their new players or their current players, go ahead and subscribe and turn on your notifications at youtube.com/WarriorsTV. Best place to go for all your Warriors news, rumors, and live updates. Now, let's kind of talk about that draft a little bit and how it's going to help this team now, because you have James Wiseman now in the middle. That filled a huge gap that they had where their starter was either going to be a Kevon Looney, a Marquise Chris, maybe if they went small ball, could have been Eric Pascal. And then they get a secondary playmaker, a guy that I think should have gone. I had an early second-round grade on, and Nico Mannion goes near the end of the second round at 48. Now, they reached a little bit with the Boise State kid, Justinian Jessup, but he's going to be a draft and stash player as he's already signed to play with the Illawarra Hawks over in the NBL, so we won't see him at least for a couple years playing for the Golden State Warriors. But, you got these rookies. You get the secondary guard like Nico Mannion that could come in and be a bit of a project who can learn under Steph Curry, and you get James Wiseman. And now you add Kelly Oubre Jr. to the mix as well, and this Golden State Warriors team looks like they have a solid lineup around them despite losing their second-best player in Klay Thompson. So as they approach the season with this brand new team, a brand new look, but still the same two guys, the heart and soul of Draymond Green and Steph Curry, and of course Steve Kerr along the way, what seed do you think the Golden State Warriors are going to finish as in the Western Conference? I would have said top 3. I'm shying away from that prediction a little bit now, but let me know what your prediction is in the comment section. Now, before the season gets started, we're all going to have to wear our masks when we want to get into NBA stadiums. And the best place to go, our friends at Fanatics, chatsports.com/NBA mask. Whoever your team is, you can go pick them up today. You can get 1, packs of 2, packs of 3, or packs of 4, so that when we're allowed to bring our friends and family into basketball games, you want to rep your favorite team, let your friends and family rep your favorite team, you can go get them today at chatsports.com/NBA mask. Everyone needs one. We all want to go to games again. This is the way to do it. So find your team, find the pack that you want the most, and go pick yours up today. Now, some little trades came through on the news wire here in the NBA. We'll kind of blow through a couple of these real quick for you. The Utah Jazz got 2 second-round picks in return for an expiring contract in Ed Davis. And the Knicks, they're going to nick, and they're going to get another power forward, and that's what they did. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves also completed a trade that was discussed and finalized on draft night, but really became final here the day after the draft because they included James Johnson in the deal. James Johnson goes to the Thunder along with the 17th pick, which was Aleksej Pokusevski out of Serbia. The Timberwolves get the prodigal son back in Ricky Rubio. They drafted Emmanuel quickly, but traded him immediately to the Knicks, and then also selected Jaden McDaniels out of Washington with that 28th pick. Last little trade that came through was one that was honestly pretty insignificant. The Hawks get Tony Snell, and they also got Kyrie Thomas, and then they immediately waived Kyrie Thomas. And the Detroit Pistons got Dewayne Dedmon, but reports are coming out of Detroit that they are looking to flip him in the offseason because he's an expiring contract. He's actually kind of valuable, I think, to the right team as he can shoot. What this did for Atlanta was it opened up more playing time for Onyeka Okongwu, the number 6 overall pick. But at the end of the day, not a huge move here, just some we wanted to mention for you guys. And it's probably not any of those teams that I just showed you, but who do you think has won the offseason so far? We've gone through drafts. We've had a couple of trades here and there. It's been a pretty fun one so far, but who do you think has won it? Let me know in the comment section. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, youtube.com/chatsportstv. This is the best place to go for all things NBA because all the moves are happening on a regular basis. And some of the most notable moves that happened today were a few player options and a couple guys that actually got waived from their respective teams. Avery Bradley declines his own player option of $5 million to hit the open market. Quinn Cook gets waived. He was set to make $3 million. He's only going to make $1 million of that and enter free agency. Frank Kaminsky had a $5 million player option. He'll hit the open market as his team, the Phoenix Suns, decided to say, we don't want to pay you. JaMychal Green thinks he can get more money on the open market, declined his player option, a stretch 4, stretch 5 kind of option, leaving the Clippers or could return on another salary. And then Garrett Temple, another $5 million guy, and the Nets don't really feel like paying him. But I think he'll have some suitors from some solid contenders out there. But at this point in his career, not all that significant. But then you look at the guys who had their options actually picked up by their teams or actually by themselves in this particular case. JaVale McGee returns to the Los Angeles Lakers along with Kelly Olynyk going back to the Miami Heat. Hamidou Diallo goes back to the OKC Thunder along with Mike Muscala. And David Nwaba of the Houston Rockets is returning despite having that torn Achilles. He's still going to make his money. So you see those player options there. I know Kelly Olynyk's making a good chunk of change, but who do you think is the most overpaid player in the NBA? I have my answer, and if I see enough answers in the comment section, I'll reply to you with mine because I don't want to give it away too early because if I say it, you guys are all just going to copycat me in the comment section. So make up your own mind. Let me know the most overpaid player in the NBA. Now we'll go to the New York Knicks, who are famous for overpaying players, and now they've decided they're not going to pay some of those players, as they have declined Bobby Portis' team option worth $16 million. They decided to waive guard Elfrid Payton, as they're kind of stacked at the guard position now with Quickley and Dennis Smith Jr., even R.J. Barrett and Frank Ntilikina. They waived Taj Gibson because they just drafted Obi Toppin, and when you have Taj Gibson and Bobby Portis in there, you don't need another power forward. Wayne Ellington, a sharpshooter that I think some teams will have interest in, gets waived from New York. And then Damian Dotson, they decided not to extend the qualifying offer to him, which simply means he's going to become a restricted free agent for the New York Knicks. So let's talk about the Knicks a little bit more here. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs? It obviously depends on if they get a Russell Westbrook, or maybe they go out and get a Gordon Hayward. Maybe they go out and get a Victor Oladipo. Will that push them into the Eastern Conference playoff race? Type Y for yes, type you're in for no. And in all honesty, I'm not ready to go there yet with New York, but there's the whole offseason ahead, so we'll see what they do. Get your votes in the comment section below. Gordon Hayward has officially opted out of his $34 million player option with the Boston Celtics, something that nobody saw coming at the beginning of the offseason, but as time had passed, more and more reports came out of teams that were seriously interested in the veteran guard / forward. The Knicks are showing interest. There's still a possibility that the Boston Celtics say, hey, we'll re-up your contract and we'll give you a longer-term deal for a little bit less money. But a couple other teams have gotten in the mix as well, along with Boston and New York. The Atlanta Hawks are the number one team. I've talked about them a lot on this show and just about a possibility of a sign-and trade, but now I don't know, or just a trade in general if he had just opted in, but now I don't know if a trade's in the works or if Atlanta's just going to outright sign him because they have a lot of money, like too much money that they need to spend on somebody. The Indiana Pacers are a team that were very interested in a sign-and trade, but that doesn't look like it's, a trade assuming he opted in. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. A sign-and trade still in play that could involve Miles Turner, maybe Victor Oladipo. I wouldn't be surprised to see a third team get in the mix. And then, of course, the Knicks, they waived a ton of players. They have the money available to go out and get a Gordon Hayward who could step in and play that starting small forward role. And, if the Knicks went out and got Hayward and they roll out some kind of lineup of Frank Ntilikina, R.J. Barrett, Gordon Hayward, Mitchell Robinson, and Obi Toppin, that's probably playoff worthy in the Eastern Conference. Do they get past the first round? I don't know. Maybe if they get Utah Jazz Gordon Hayward, we'll have to wait and see. But I also wouldn't count out the fact that Boston can still bring Hayward back for less money in more years. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, but I think the Celtics are very likely to get something in return for Gordon Hayward. I could see a sign and trade in play. But if you want to know what they end up doing with him or what they end up doing with any of their players or any of the respective free agents that they're going to go after, make sure you subscribe today to chatsports.com/CelticsTV. Also, you know what to do. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you don't miss any kind of videos we're putting out on our Celtics channel, breaking down all things draft, all things free agency, and all things trades. But let's stick with the free agency side of stuff. And Enes Kanter is one guy that isn't going to hit the open market, as he had decided to opt in to his $5 million option, which in all honesty was probably the right move. And honestly, for the Celtics, might as well take it, as you kind of have a bullpen effect of big men with guys like Vincent Poirier and Enes Kanter and Robert Williams and Grant Williams as well. And now you get Kanter back, who's a respected veteran in the league. He's a solid rebounder. He knows how to score the ball in the post, but you're never going to ask him to play much defense. And if you do, you're going to get burned because he's not a defensive center, and we all know that. But at 6'10", 250, he holds his weight in the middle as an offensive option, and he's good to have back in the rotation for the Boston Celtics. But with all the guys they have, who do you think Boston will start at center? But here's why I actually asked this question, because hint, hint, nudge, nudge, I don't think the starting center is on this Boston Celtics team right now. I think they're going to trade for someone very, very soon, and we'll have to see who that might be. But whoever it is, we're going to have it for you on our Boston Celtics channel. Now, one more Boston Celtic we're going to talk about is Brad Wanamaker. He they declined his qualifying offer, which just simply makes him an unrestricted free agent. He will hit the open market now. Now, Wanamaker played in 71 games this past year with the Celtics, and he was a really solid and well-respected veteran in the locker room. And, he came off the bench behind Kemba Walker. He was fine. Doesn't do anything super well. He doesn't do anything real bad. He doesn't get burned on defense, but he also doesn't create that well for others. So At the end of the day, I think this was a smart move to kind of just let him walk because there's a lot of guards on this Celtic team that need a lot of playing time and need more development outside of Brad Wanamaker. Of course, Kemba Walker. Look, he's going to get the bulk of the minutes as he deserves. Marcus Smart. Everybody loves Marcus Smart. I love Marcus Smart. He will get a lot of minutes as well. But then you got all the younger guys. Romeo Langford, Carson Edwards, and Javonte Green are all guards that didn't get a lot of minutes last year because Brad Wanamaker was taking a lot of them, and now we get a chance to see what they can do in Brad Stevens' system, and I'm excited to see a guy like Carson Edwards potentially take over that true backup point guard role. Now, remember, they also have Jaylen Brown. I didn't really include him in that because I think of him more of as a wing more than a guard, but I don't expect Brad Wanamaker back. Potentially they make some trades. Maybe he comes back eventually. But Javonte Green, Romeo Langford, Carson Edwards, I'd rather see them play than Brad Wanamaker. So I'm all about this move. Now, of course, the Celtics, being one of the most historic franchises in NBA history, if not the most historic franchise in NBA history, I want to ask you this question as I get out of here. Who is your favorite Boston Celtic of all time? If you made it this far in the video, you deserve to answer this question and have your voice heard in the comment section. So go ahead, scroll on down. Favorite Celtic ever? Let me know.